democracy that's going to lift up the victims of gun violence instead of supporting the NRA and the gun lobbyists. And we going to keep fighting, and we going to keep pushing, because we believe that this is what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like. Show me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like.
This is a rally for Justin Pearson. He's one of 2 Tennessee black lawmakers who were expelled from the State House last week for protesting gun control. Their expulsions have made national headlines, and now all these people are out here to say they want him back in office. What was your initial reaction when you heard that they had been expelled?
Oh, ridiculous. I mean, eventually everybody's going to know somebody who's been shot in one of these mass shootings. I mean, my mom works at a school, and it's just every day nothing changes, and finally there's a movement to do something about it. It's ridiculous. It's just straight up racism in our legislature.
3 days after a mass shooting in Nashville, Representative Justin Pearson, alongside 2 Democratic colleagues, took to the House floor with a bullhorn urging Republicans to debate on gun reform. The incident did get the other reps talking, but not quite about guns. The Republican majority ousted Pearson and Representative Jones from their seats for allegedly breaking decorum. Gloria Johnson, a white state rep who protested with them, survived her expulsion vote. Now Pearson and Jones have found themselves in the middle of a national conversation, not just about gun control, but also racism and the division of power within state legislatures.
The reality is, for a long time, we've been in this very terrible status quo, one that has said if you speak out of turn, you don't belong here. We got folks who are willing to disenfranchise hundreds of thousands of people at the behest of the National Rifle Association and the Tennessee Firearms Association. We're talking about children who are 9 years old who are saying to legislators, "Am I next?"
Did you think that your Republican colleagues would actually expel you?
I never imagined that advocating for the end of gun violence in our communities could lead to our expulsion. We were pushed to the point of doing a peaceful demonstration on the House floor, demanding change, because as we see with the people of the state of Tennessee, when they're asking for things, the legislature thinks it's not their responsibility to represent the people, it's their responsibility to represent the NRA, it's their responsibility to represent gun lobbyists. And myself, Representative Jones, Representative Johnson, we were there and sent there by over 200,000 people to represent them. But the fact that we were expelled tells us that it really didn't have to do with us disrupting House proceedings or anything like that. It was because what we were standing up for, the end of gun violence, was the problem.
If it was just about the protesting of guns, wouldn't Representative Johnson have also been expelled?
Yeah, you cannot separate the reality that race played and who was expelled and not expelled. You can't. But we know that race and patriarchy and white supremacy undergird the pillars and the foundation of the Tennessee House General Assembly.
I think expulsion of lawmakers here has only happened twice since the Civil War era. What do you think about the direction our country is going?
Yeah, this is a terrifying time for our democracy. This is not the behavior of democratically elected people or folks that you expect in a democracy. If you had some other form of government where you had an autocracy or something like that, a dictatorship, things like this, you would expect dissension to be met with expulsion. But in a democracy that prides itself on at least the ideal of debate and people talking about different ideas and things like that, you would expect that this would not happen. Maybe censure, maybe a suspension, something like that. But the fact that in the United States of America, we have reached such a terrible point where we would expel duly elected officials from their positions that they were elected into by the people in their districts who knew who we were when they elected us, is terrifying for our country. And what the reality is, and what we must all be afraid of, is what other states are going to do now that Tennessee has done this.
We're seeing state legislatures make headlines now more than ever for passing anti-trans bills, anti-abortion laws, deciding what kids can learn in schools. Can you talk about the importance of, or kind of the focus now on local government?
The state legislature is where the work happens, okay? And most of the things that impact our lives is because of what is happening at state legislature level. And if we ignore, as has been done for a long time, what is happening at the state level, we will continue to wake up and see our democracy fading away piece by piece by piece. This is how the Republican Party now responds. These state legislatures and these state House and state Senates are the most important places to retain our democracy. And if we continue to lose them to people who are extremists on the Republican right, who would rather throw away our First Amendment rights in order to hold and cling to power, this is where democracy's beginning and end lives. And if we do not work and listen to what is happening at the state level, we as a country cannot go further.
Pearson and Jones will have to run again in a special election, but the Tennessee Constitution says their local legislative bodies can reappoint them in the interim. 2 days after Jones was sent back to his seat, Pearson faced his own vote on whether or not to reinstate him. He was unanimously voted back into office by Shelby County Democrats and has promised to run again.
When we went to the well of the House, myself, Representative Johnson, and Representative Jones, what we did was say we have an allegiance to a people. Yeah! So the message for all the people in Nashville who decided to expel us. You can't expel hope! Yeah! You can't expel our voice! Yeah! And you sure can't expel our fight! Yeah! Let's get back to work! Yeah!
And while Republican House Speaker Cameron Sexton said he'd honor their reinstatements, both Pearson and Jones have called for him to resign.
Representative Pearson, how are you feeling right now?
I feel fantastic. I'm so grateful to the people who've shown up and shown out today to ensure that democracy happens.
What does this moment mean for the people of Tennessee?
It means that we are going to fight back against the anti-democratic behavior of the state.
I'm Michael Learmonth, editor-in-chief of Vice News. Too often, traditional news outlets shy away from the real stories and experiences of those living through global conflicts. Not Vice News. Our reporters are on the ground, fearlessly covering the human stories that shape our world. You and millions of others can continue to read, watch, and listen to Vice News for free. But we hope you'll consider making a one-time or ongoing contribution of any size at vice.com/contribute. Every contribution, no matter how big or small, helps support the journalism Vice News brings to you every day. Thank you.